Live. Hey, Will, how are you?
I'm very good this morning, Ron. Hello to everybody who's joining us for the program today. Ron, why don't you tell us a little bit about how it's gone this week with this horse?
So this week, hey, Darcy, before you go, can you just check to make sure the levels, there should be two green bars going up in the middle. Check, check, 1, 2. Yep, you see green bars? Okay,
Check.
sorry about that. That's what happens when you're the director and the rider.
That's right.
So this week, since the last wedding or the last lesson, we worked trigger using in-hand work like we did last week. I was only using the inside ring with the lunge line, and yeah, he was really good. I consistently did that. So this is the first time he's had the saddle on since the clinic. So if we want to try the side reins today, we can.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, well, let's start off with a little work in hand as always, and then we'll go to that.
Okay.
Or at least always for now. I should add that, as we move on here and are able to work together, there won't be long before I'll have you starting to do this work on your own before we start to save time.
Yeah.
Once we get riding more. Really nice. Now, what I'm loving already, so and those of you who've watched this, and look how soft the underside of his neck has become. This is a horse that was very tense and very much pulling with his shoulders when we started this process, and we're seeing that underside of the neck really loosen up, and that's what we always want to see. The other day, somebody wrote in, said they had a very ewe-necked horse and they were concerned because the back is developing, but the neck is getting skinny. Well, of course it is, because all that fat underside of the neck is going away and they haven't built any top line yet. So that is a very normal thing, that if you have a very ewe-necked horse and you start this work, you're going to see the neck become thinner before it becomes thicker, because you're going to start losing all that underside neck. And then you'll see the top line begin to develop. This is really nice today. Keep trying to get just a little bit deeper, yielding the hindquarters just a little bit away from you, but this is getting so much softer. And just looking at it, it's so much more regular now. Now, as you're walking, just try yourself to just straighten yourself up a little bit. Imagine if you were riding the horse. So we want to be the same way when we're doing this work in hand. So you're not all bent over. Try not to keep your head like locked over forward, looking at the ground, but try to stretch up and get yourself square on your feet while you're doing this. Also important, by the way, guys, is you just never know when a horse may decide to jerk sideways or something, and it's very important that we be square on our feet. That's really nice. He's beginning to stretch. So in the beginning, we very often think that it's very natural to think that we need to, like when we ride the horse, to put our hands way down low, or that we need to hunch over forward. But nothing could be further from the truth. We want to stay stretched up and square over our feet when we're doing this work. Just like you would when you're riding, letting your shoulders, come back and open up so you really feel square on your feet, to give you the same kind of feel that you would get once you start riding the horse, because that's what we want this to be. Once we start riding, we want you to have learned how the correct feel is. Now that's beautiful, Ron. That's really nice now. That's looking really good. And notice how regular he is today. This is the first time I've seen this horse. His step is very regular. So that tells us he's beginning to flow over the back. Because whenever you see horses that are going slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, then you know that they're usually pulling and lurching along a little bit for their shoulders, and then maybe they push themselves a little bit. But you don't get that sense of just a steady rhythm that becomes almost mesmerizing to look at, as this one was starting to get a little bit there. Once again, that little bit deeper there. Every time he does that, you did just the right thing by moving him to the outside a little bit. That's really nice. And just generally, his whole body now is just getting a much softer look about it. And rounder, as we say. We want to ultimately see that the horse looks like a ball rolling over the ground. And we can see with him that he still has a little, if you look behind the saddle, there's a bit of a dip there. And over time, we're going to see that completely disappear. This kind of horse doesn't have a lot of withers. And what you'll see is over the next year or so, you'll see those withers beginning to come up through the shoulders. That's always a process that takes about 1.5 years or so to 2 years to complete itself, once you begin to get the horse really consistently. That's the point when you get that we can begin to develop collection. Really nice there, Ron. Really, really nice. This is the softest I've seen him look yet. Really nice. All the way down in that. Really nice. And notice how relaxed the horse is, stretching in. Keep trying to bring that outside rein up a little higher along the neck there. That's the one thing we have to keep trying to do. There you go, like that. So we keep feeling that we're moving him into that outside rein, and yet he's standing up to it. That's what we want to do in all work, so that the outside line is controlled by that outside rein. And of course, if your leg were there, your leg would be the other end of that spectrum, or that side of the outside of the horse. Really nice here. Really, really nice. Now, as you come to the center line, go ahead and stop, and by all means, give him a little something, because that was by far the best I've seen this horse release. And then switch to the other side. Really, really nicely done today, Ron. That was a new level there.
Great, thanks. The other thing I wanted to say too is that there is a chat. If anybody wants to ask you questions, there's a chat. If you're, I don't know if you're looking at the Facebook thing or on Vimeo at all, Will, but there is.
Oh no, I'm not actually. I'm just on the Zoom meeting thing.
Okay, all right.
So are we actually live on Facebook now? Is that how this is working?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah, we're live on the Vimeo site, which is also being streamed on Facebook on the Art2Ride thing. So, just need to get 3 more computers for you.
There you go. Yeah, that's starting to happen there. And notice, everyone, how as he gets that stretch, look how the horse takes off. Look how the walk begins to really swing and begins to go somewhere. So that's what it's always about. You know, we have to think of that. You know, what we're creating is movement. So anything that is detrimental to the movement of the horse would not be something you'd want to do. Like, in other words, trying to pull this horse's head up in the air right now, what do you think would happen to his stride? It would just go back to what it was before, very short and not going anywhere. We want to find that place. It's like when the horse can really get over its back, how it can swing. And once again, that's when horses get like that, they could then go for hours and hours that way. A horse that's not over its back is not going to take you very far before it's either going to wear out or you're going to be so far behind everyone that you might be with. Yeah, that's coming really nicely. This is so much better, Ron. Excellent work now. Keep trying to take up that contact with your outside rein there a little bit, like that. And of course, keeping that rein up the neck like that. And of course, it's after we get that stretch, then we begin to be able to control that outside line of the shoulder with the outside rein. Well, at first, we're always just moving the horse away from the inside aids. And then, of course, the next step is to get them to listen to the outside aids. But we have to get them stepping over first before we worry about that, which is what you're doing now. So now you can begin to work a little more with that outside rein, keeping the horse in the groove. And look at how nicely this horse is bent. And, you know, this horse has got a nice bend in him today. And once again, when I say bend, remember, I'm always talking about right under where you would be sitting. In other words, about at the girth line of the horse. That's where you want the horse to bend, not at the neck. The neck should never have more bend than any of the rest of the body, than the middle of the back, so to speak. And just try to get it just that little bit deeper one more time, just all the way there like that, so it gets that little bit more swing in it. Really nice, like that. Good job. Yeah, all the way down there like that. Really nice. Excellent. Excellent there. And you can see that his step is a little more difficult for him on this side than the other side. But look how now he's stepping there as he gets to that point. Watch the hocks. We always want to look at the hocks and see how they're stepping, that they keep stepping in that rhythm. Once again, dressage is all about maximizing the movement of the horse that you have. Today it's become popular. They just buy horses with maximum movement and then sort of break them down, if you will. But every horse is capable, any horse, or let's put it this way, any horse that's not over its back is capable of moving 100% better, at least, when it is. There, like that, all the way down there. Really nice. That's good. And you can stop over the center line, give him a little something, and we're ready to lunge. That was really nice work.
And who?
Now, this would be the first day Ron's been lunging without anything on and just getting him stretching. So we're going to try the side range today and see how that works.
Yeah.
So once again, we're adding something to what we do now and see whether he's ready for this next step.
Come on, buddy. So, Will, before we were, when we were using the side reins on him,
Yep.
we were going halfway down the girth. You still want to do that?
Yeah, still pretty far down.
So
Yeah.
we're down.
Down
Like
by his elbow, right there.
Okay.
Yeah, down there for now. Now we do that because I want to keep the side reins very long. So I want the horse to feel the contact with the bit when it raises its head, but without having to shorten the side reins. So when we do this by putting them lower, of course, as the horse raises its head and to hollow itself, it will just feel that contact a little bit sooner, making the correction sooner, so to speak. And of course, as he gets better, then we will move them up until ultimately they're in the upper position, of course, when we're, and of course, that's the ultimate test when we can put them up off the D-rings, off the top of the saddle, as the position your hands would be in, and the horse stretches down into them, moves over its back, then we know that we might be able to do the same thing up on the horse's back. So it's a very easy test. There's lots of videos on the site about those for those of you interested in bringing them up from the stretch. I'm doing a very extensive video on that with Q at the moment. That's well, it's up to 10 hours at the moment. I'm sure it will grow from there, but it'll be broken down into many pieces so that you guys can see that process.
So, just want to check something just to make sure that nobody else was using my side reins.
Yep.
So we're gonna go to the right to start with because that's his good side.
Yep.
So I've got a question for you.
Okay.
When using side reins and you're using the lunge line,
Yep.
and this is just in case anybody else has, you should put the side reins above, or excuse me, the lunge line above the side reins. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. By all
Just
means,
in
because
case
otherwise you're
somebody
pulling up
at
on the.
home was asking, that's all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See how this goes. These may need to be a little bit longer, but it's not bad to start with, as long as it doesn't bring him behind the bridle. I like how loose he is. There we go. When you first start out, you just think that you're doing the same thing as the work in hand. You're just moving those hindquarters a little bit to the outside in the walk, trying to get him to stretch down, and you even feel your rein that you have there, just like you were working with it with the work in hand, to soften him just a little bit and encourage that stretch into it.
Over.
Yeah. I feel like those are just a little bit. Let's lengthen those side reins a little bit. They're just a little bit too short. He starts to go down. He's going to start to roll back.
Okay,
So let's get
okay.
Yeah, a little bit longer.
And who?
A couple of holes, whatever you got there.
Yeah.
Doesn't be much. It's almost there, but it's a tiny bit too short.
They get shared a lot, so.
Yep. It's such a lovely arena that you guys found.
What's that? The chewing
It's
sound?
such a nice arena that came with your property there. Good boy, Tigger.
Okay, buddy.
Off we go. I just love how long that neck is starting to get now, and just how soft the underside of that neck is. That's what we always want to see. Really nice. That's more like it. Nice, really nice. There you go. Good job. So that's more right, like the right length. You can see he can stretch down and out, but when he's all the way down, it doesn't pull him backwards.
Yep.
In other words, he doesn't come behind the bit. Nice, like right there. That's really nice. That's really nice. That's where you want to see him right there. See how the back engages. All of a sudden, look how the hind leg starts stepping. Really nice. Hugely improved walk now. And once again, if I were not here, you could go on walking him just like he is right there for an hour if you wanted to,
Yeah.
like that. We're going to move up into the trot here for a minute, but that's, and once again, you almost can't do too much of that, relative to that hour that we spend on the horse. And when they're just beginning like this, once you can get that, if everybody could see how that, when he really started to swing, you could really see the back beginning to lift up underneath the saddle there. Once you get that, you build a lot of muscle, even though you're just in a walk. And that's the thing to understand. There isn't any point in, we don't want to ever work a horse in disunited gaits because it doesn't help us in any way. So that's why we have to start the walk and get the walk corrected. Then we can begin to correct the trot and later the canter. There we go. Like that. Let's take a look and see what he does in the trot.
Trot.
Once again, we don't expect the transition to be anything there. And of course, it's the first time he's had side reins on again, so we're curious to see how he reacts to this.
Side reins and saddle.
Side reins and saddle, so it may take him a moment there to readjust, but that's not bad at all, like that. He's getting the idea now. Very nice. It's getting better. There we go. Yeah, much, much better. So very, very nice. Now, once again, if we had not seen this correct, if we had seen him gone on with his head up in the air trying to hollow himself and not finding himself, we would have come back to a walk long before this. But once again, that's what it should be like. You know, they're never going to, right at this stage, they're not going to instantly be perfect. We're going to always expect that those transitions to be a little bit rough as they get into it, because of course they're not consistent over the back. We never worry about transitions. We worry about being consistent in the gait. And when we can work the horse enough consistently in the gait, pretty soon the transitions will just magically all by themselves be there without us trying to, you know, do them over and over again, which is what leads to a lot of bad dressage. We want all of our sessions to flow. And I'm always very suspicious. I always tell people, you know, whenever you see people who spend a lot of time backing their horses up, you know they don't know how to ride, because they're trying to force the horse back onto its hindquarters. Not that the rein back is not a good thing for a horse. It is a good thing for a horse if it's done correctly and the horse moves back off of your leg because of the impulsion, not because it's being pulled back by your hands. That's getting really nice. Now for this horse, this is coming very nicely. And every time he comes up to see if you can move those hindquarters a little bit out, there you go, like that, get that little stretch a little bit deeper. We can see how sometimes there's still a little bit of tension in the other side of his neck, which is when he pulls up like that a little bit. That's coming really nicely now. And once again, we're beginning to see some rhythm in the horse. And remember, by rhythm, I mean the two ends of the horse being in rhythm with one another, not the speed the horse is going. The horse can go at a consistent speed and be completely out of sync front to back. There, that's coming really nice. Now let him walk again.
And walk. I think he read your mind.
Yeah, and just let him stretch out. That's coming really nice. Let him stretch out in that walk now. Oh, this is a huge improvement. And once again, going back to find that walk again, look for that place where the back begins to lift up underneath the saddle there, like that. We see those hind legs really step up, but we'd be watching what the back end of the horse is doing. If the back end is doing the right thing, the front end almost always is. That is, if you're watching those hocks and they're coming up and you're seeing that movement, that round circular movement in the hocks. So a horse like this who's quite straight behind, it's very difficult. So it's even more important. Once again, a lot of the horses that are being bred today still have a lot of movement in their hocks, even when they're hollow, and that's what's fooled a lot of people. You're much better off starting to learn how to ride on a horse like this, who you're going to have to maximize his gaits to get it right. You know that, and then you can really see the difference. Really nice there. Excellent. Now go ahead and halt, and let's change directions and see how the other side's looking. Good fellow. So now in this direction, this horse was very counterflexed. He just really couldn't let his neck really release. So we've gone back to a couple of weeks without the saddle at all, without side reins, without anything, and just letting him stretch without anything at all to see if he's made a little progress here with putting it all back on. And so far, it certainly is looking better in the walk in this direction. And you can see how it is a little more difficult. So he starts to go around the corner there and he kind of counterflexes into the opposite direction. Work a little closer to him, like you're working him in hand once again. Soften him a little more with your inside rein as you just get that to get really deep. It's going to be really important here that we get this walk really right. Once again, it's better to do, 50 steps of good walk than, some bad trot, if you will. Yeah, that's looking much better. And of course, taking however much time it takes to get it there. Yeah, really nice. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Like that. And as he begins to give a little more, then just gradually let him have that little more line. The circle begins to get a little bit bigger. But keep trying to soften him with that inside rein a little bit, just a little bit. When you lose it, that helps him keep looking over this way a little bit, and encouraging him to stretch back out again. But of course, it's never fixed, and we're never yanking on the rein. It's just a little give and take. So the horse never just gets a hold of us, What it should feel like, whether you have the reins in your hands or you're working in hand, or you're riding with the reins in your hand, it should feel like you think of it as I think this description, someone once described it as holding hands with a child, instead of the idea that you've got some death grip on the mouth of the animal. You want to have your hand there and feeling it, but you don't want to be squeezing it in half. Like this, really nice. Much better. Now let's try going up in a little trot and see what we get.
Trot.
Here we go. Very good. This is much better. Now you can still see he wants to counterflex a little bit, but compared to what he used to do in this direction, he's actually releasing the neck now. This is huge. Really good, like that. Not tightening up that lower neck. That's really nice. Really nice. First time I've seen him do that in this direction. Let him come back to a walk again.
And walk.
And just once again going back to getting that stretch deep in the walk. Yeah, like that. Really good. You're really softening him really nicely now. It's always that idea, when the horse is correct, we do nothing at all. So whatever we do, when the horse responds, even if it's just for a couple of steps, we do nothing, and that's the horse's reward. We're not causing him any discomfort anywhere in any way. Everything has stopped. And that's what we want a horse to be like. We want them to, that's what it means to be in self-carriage, where we put a horse into a gait and they have a tendency to stay there. They never just stay there like a machine, but that's the idea, that they generally will carry themselves along until we ask them to change. Otherwise, we'd be working every stride. And that's what we don't want to do. The idea of a horse, right, was that we could ride it and we could travel a long distance and the horse does the work. The way people ride today, if they went out to ride 20 miles, they'd be more exhausted than the horse at the end of the 20 miles, hanging onto its mouth. Really nice there. Now back up into a trot again.
Trot.
And once again, not a bad, he came a little bit above in the upward transition, but not terrible, not even as bad as the first one was. Really nice now, like this. And once again, getting the stretch is the most important thing. Once we get it and that consistent, then we start to build it and make it bigger and get a little more swing and a little more push. But The stretch itself is the important thing to start with, and we build from that, trying not to lose it. Really nice now. And how nicely he's working. You can see how once again his eye is relaxed, his ears are just, they're back, but not pinned back. They're along the sides soft, which tells you they're listening to you and not everything else around them. Happy in the work, really nice, really nice. You see those moments that he tightens up, how it changes everything. Really nice. Now let him come back to a walk again. That's fantastic. And just let him stretch out there and walk again for a moment. That was by far the first time I've seen this horse really get there on this side. That was really good work, Ron.
Come on, walk on.
And then anywhere along there, go ahead and halt, and let's go back in the other direction again.
And ho. And ho. He wants to just keep walking in a circle.
Just keep bringing him in to you if you want, just gradually, just keep saying ho and just reeling him into you until he finally stops, not making a big deal of it. Just keep bringing him into you. And ask again.
And
ho. Until he finally does. Yeah, then reward him. Very nice. Almost got a square halt there. What a good boy.
Good
So
job.
those side reins now are the perfect length. They're letting him stretch out and forward with his neck, but they're not curling him back. So just where we want them to be.
Yeah.
And of course, you can tell he's understanding the work, because if he wasn't, he was just with the side reins of this length, he would just put his head straight in the air if he wasn't working over his back. That's coming so nice. Try to open that circle around you a bit. Take a little more contact on your line there. As you bring him closer to you, go ahead and soften him that a little bit and try to yield his hindquarters a little bit more again.
Yeah.
Suddenly started.
Yeah, he was cutting in. He saw somebody coming in.
On you there a little bit. He said, "What do you mean? I did it all perfectly." Yeah, good. And now back up into the trot again.
Trot. Trot.
Still a little struggle to make the transition, much better than the first time. If everyone thinks about the work that we're doing here, preparing a horse to be ridden is so important that people understand how weak horses' backs really are And of course, some have had a lot of damage, like this one had had damage done to its back, as you can see there by the hole behind the saddle there. So as I always say, I like to work through the groundwork till the horse looks like something I'd like to get on and ride. If the horse is still upside down and running around like a lunatic, why would you want to get on and ride it? So that's what the groundwork is all about. Go back and read, for instance, the Spanish riding schools, complete training of horse and rider. They would lunge horses for 2 years and without even cantering them yet before they ever thought about putting somebody on their back because they understood how long it took for horses to mature, which is one of the things that people have forgotten in this day and age when we live in a world and actually horses are bigger and actually maturing later than they used to, and yet people are cramming them into frames at 3 years old expecting them to go to futurities and various things. They wonder why, or they shouldn't wonder why they're all lame or so many of them at such an early age. If you're doing dressage right, it should make your horse last longer, not shorten its useful life. And of course, it should make all that useful life much safer. That's starting to get nice there. Very nice, very nice. Really nice there. Just so nice and soft now. So you can imagine, you begin to imagine putting a rider on this horse, which we will do the next time I see you. So when we tried to ride this horse a few weeks ago for everybody watching, it was apparent as soon as you got any weight in the saddle, the horse was just completely uncomfortable and disunited. So there was just no point in going on. So that's what we've done is just try to get him more consistently, build the strength so that when he is ready. So we'll try it next week would be my plan. And we'll see if he can sustain weight or not. If he can, he will. That's the thing to understand. People get in fights with horses because they think the horse is being a bad horse or whatever, bad attitude, but it's usually because they simply can't do what the people are asking them to do or have no understanding of what they're asking them to do. Really nice there. Now let him walk again.
And walk. Walk on.
Really stretching out in that.
Walk on. He wants to be right next to me.
His buddy. Knows who brushes him and brings him the carrots. Really nice. Yeah, right there. This is a really good horse to watch his hind legs for all of you watching this and watch when they're consistent and when they're not. You'll see as he starts to bring that head up how those hind legs kind of straighten and all of a sudden they're not bending anymore like they are now where he's taking nice even steps right there. That's what we want to see. Those are the steps that have value in terms of training and developing the horse. I think it's the fact that, people don't use horses so much anymore for things that really, they don't get on them and generally ride 20 miles. And very few people fox hunt anymore. So that where people were riding, for 30 or more miles or so in a day. So, people aren't using their horses as they used to, where that would really make a difference. If you're consistently having to travel, 20 miles on a horse, you better have it sound or you're not going to make it. And of course, if you don't have it sane, you're probably not going to make it very safely. Really nice. One more circle this one last time all the way down. Very nice. And you can stop right there, Ron. You've done it.
Oh.
Now I'm purposely not going back to the other side because he was the best he's ever been on the other side. I don't want to push it. I want to just reward him. And
Yep.
great boy, this is what we're asking for, and that's what people realize. If you get something right, stop. My rule is always, whenever the horse does something better than it has done before, I stop. And then the horse understands. Once again, if we go on until the horse is exhausted, then they don't understand. Now, always remember to take your side reins off before you lead the horse, before you lead him. Always unhook your side reins, Ron, before you start leading him.
Okay.
Ron,
Sorry,
just so you're not leading them. Just say something happens. You always want to unhook those.
Yeah. Yep.
Where are you
Makes
going
total
to
sense.
lead them? Just you never know when something might spook them, or they step a leg through them, or something weird when you're not paying attention. Look what a nice boy he is. He looks very proud of himself and very happy.
Good job
That
today.
really, really nice, Ron. I think we're well on the road to success here with this. As I said, next week, what I'd like you to do is another week of just what we did here today.
Okay.
Right? If you want to mix a day in there without a saddle on, that would be fine too. But as long as you're doing this and everything seems to be in the right direction. And then next Thursday, when I see you, we will put weight on his back and we'll see how he is.
We'll have
one more week.
Darcy get on him next week.
Yeah, I would think so. Probably start with her, where she's a little lighter than you are, and we'll see how he does with that. And we'll see whether he's ready. He either will be or he won't be.
Okay, sounds good.
What I see here today, we're certainly getting much closer. Can you see how the gaits are changing and becoming consistent now? How different that is, and
yeah,
you can just
totally see that. And I see that once he got used to the saddle being back on him, he started looking more consistent like he was without the saddle, which is good.
Exactly.
So, and I think working
it's always
with the saddle and the side reins would be huge this week. Yeah.
So excellent work. Questions from you today?
Nope. I think I got an idea what we need to be working on, for next week, and
Yep.
I'll work them. And just if I have any questions, I could text you or whatever. But today, I think I'm good. I think that he did a good job.
I couldn't be happier. He looked so much better today. He really released on that side over there. I mean, that's the first time I've seen him do that. So that was really great work. All right, so we'll take a little 5-minute break here, 10 minutes, and be back ready for Darcy.
Yep, couple-minute break, and we'll be back.
All right.
Thank you, Will.
Hello.
Hello again, everybody. I'm here with Darcy Branchini here and her horse. What's been going on this week?
Oh, I feel like I've been less consistent even. But I will say that I have been cleaning his sheath, not every day, but a couple times this week. And I did notice that he's still doing that thing where he kind of, turns in toward me on the lunge line. It looks like he's almost going to like bite toward me or bite toward his inside anyway. It's been less. It's there, but it's not like I got him out of it quickly yesterday. It happened like twice and then it was done. So better than before. And I did get quite a bit out of there when I was cleaning his sheath. So I do think that maybe it was creating a problem.
It may have something to do with that. Because they get crusty. Because at first, when you first start to move, once they start going, everything gets lubricated and they get over it. But if it is that, just keep checking on it. All good.
Yeah, all right, and we've had a lot of weather change this week too. That was part of my inconsistency. I mean, we went from like a snowstorm in 29 and losing power to it's 60 some degrees today. So okay.
All right, let's start with a little work in hand.
Okay. Come on.
Hey, who's been in here before me?
I know, right? Come on.
We'll try to get that step to get a little bit longer. See if you can give him a little tap now and start to open it up even a little bit more.
Come on. Walk on. Good boy.
If he really is swinging, you should be having a hard time to stay up with him. Like that. There we go. I do a little shoulder forward down this long side.
Over.
Nice right there. Rolling that shoulder with the outside line. Outside rein. Really nice right there. Not too much pain in the neck. Good job. And on to the big circle here at the end. And all the way down into the stretch again. Take a little brief moment, and I'm ready to go again. Certainly ready to get right back into it again.
Yeah.
Looks a little like Mr. Ed. That's always a sound we'd like to hear that. That's one. I noticed after that big blowout he did, look how much better he's walking now, everybody is paying attention to this. He actually just pulled his belly up a little bit, kind of let that big deep breath and dug in. Really nice. You can go ahead and stop and change directions. Now, of course, on your own, you can go on and do more of that. I don't need to see any more of that today because I want to get you to other things. So let's go ahead and stop and reverse.
Okay.
That's coming really nice. And that was a really lovely moment there, as I said, when he just blew out. All of a sudden, boy, he really got stretched out and stepping nicely.
Okay. Walk. Yep. Walk on.
Want to get the step just a little bit more active once again. Come down the long side, think of lengthening. There we go. Now he's starting to kick in a little bit. I'm going to do a little shoulder forward down the next long side. Really nice right there. Really nice right there. Excellent. Wow. Now look, I really stepped those hind legs once he got into that really deep stretch. Really nice, really getting his back up underneath him there. That's excellent. And onto the circle one more time as you come to this end.
Good boy. Good boy.
Really nice there, really nice. And as you come to the center line, you can stop. That was fantastic. We're ready to move on to lunging.
Okay.
Really nice today.
And whoa. Whoa. Good boy. Come. Okay, hold on. You're going to drop it all. Oh, what'd you do? You hooked them together, Ron? Is that what you did? Or is one still hooked on the... Okay. Oh, that worked. Did you unhook the rein? Yeah, okay. I got it. Oh, I need to get this. Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Only two of you there today?
Yeah. Come on.
How's Sam doing since she got back home? I haven't heard from her.
I think pretty good. I think, you know, things changed at the barn she was at. There was quite a few horses that moved in, so. Okay. Come on.
Got an itch.
I think she's enjoying the weather, though, better.
Yeah, good.
As soon as it starts getting cold here, she really doesn't like it here. Good boy. Walk on.
Wouldn't think it would be that much different where she is, but I guess it is, huh?
Oh, it is quite a bit, yeah. If you ask me, that's kind of a perfect temperature there for the winter. Anyway.
Job here.
Really, he's gonna poop again, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
That's more like it. I think he's ready to trot now.
Okay.
And trot. A little bit. Good.
And trot. Come on.
Yeah. Get into gear. Yeah, that was a little better today. No big deal.
Yep. Come on. Hey. It's almost like he's resentful of the whip.
Maybe. But you're handling it just right. I mean, as long as he just gets over it pretty quickly and moves on like that. You know, in this particular breed of horse, you know, this type of horse, sort of drafty type horse, they're not, you know, they're not like thoroughbreds that are ready to get up and go at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
You know, it usually takes them a little more time. You know, they're not, you know, once again, they're not they're bred more for walking than anything else.
Come on. Yeah, I'm noticing that. I think maybe it's the lack of consistency or where he's been at lately, but the rhythm is like really missing now. I haven't.
Right. But that's what we've got to get to before we do anything else every day. There we go. I'm starting to get there. I assume you've checked your girth area and everything. There's no sore spots on him anywhere.
No sore spots there. And he acts pretty nice, you know, being saddled up, girthed up. Like, none of that seems to be an issue, but...
There you go. He's getting there now.
I do notice, though, he's a pretty, like, I wouldn't even say pretty, like, I would say a lot compared to my previous horses. He's very gassy.
Oh, very gassy. Well, that can be it, too. Have you checked him for ulcers?
I haven't, and that was my next sort of thought, is that...
You know, that's the next step. When suddenly horses don't want to move, or they're pissy about the girth or whatever, that's often the case.
And this is kind of, I felt like last time I experienced some of this behavior, it was when he went from being on hay a lot to being on grass a lot. And now it's like the opposite. You know, we ran out of grass for the most part, so they're on a lot more hay. So I don't know if that's just like stomach upset or...
Yeah, can be. Certainly changing over. I think he actually does look a little more bloaty to me, looking at him today than... Because I noticed last week he was quite trim looking. He's a little bit heavier looking today to me. Taking a little more time to get him to engage through his belly there, but it's getting there. Pull up there a little bit as he came around that corner there. Trying to get a little more active.
Come on.
There we go. It's getting there now.
Come on. Yep, you can do it. Good boy.
But no, it's just like children. Some of them naturally want to get up and run around, and others do not. You know?
Yeah.
Now let's go ahead and ask for a little bit of canter and let me see what he does.
Okay.
That's what he asked for a little bit of that.
Okay, ready? And canter. Canter. Come on. Good boy. Come on. Canter. Come on.
Okay, now back to the trot again.
And trot. And trot.
That's looking better now. Always that, I mean, he's not ready to do much canter, but on the other hand, a little canter helps him a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, my whip just broke in half.
Oh, no.
It's one of these, like, it comes apart in the middle, and it really did just come apart in the middle.
Can you stop and pick it up? You got it for you there. I'm just trying to get it.
Come on,
Whip repairman on service call. There we go. That's looking better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Well done. We never missed a step. There we go. Back into that again.
Good boy. Come on, honey.
There we go. Now let him walk now.
And walk. Yeah, not quite himself, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit. He's a little bit, not wanting to move as nicely as we've seen him do.
Yeah.
A little not so much, not wanting to go as much. So get to the bottom of that. Go ahead and stop and let's take a look at the other side.
Okay. Whoa.
But I say he does look a little more bloated. Because remember me commenting to you last week that I thought he looked quite trim,
Yeah.
and he does look a little bit, bloaty-o-y. So once again, just every time we change feed with a horse, it can totally throw them off their feet, as they say, right?
Yeah. Okay. Walk on. Walk. Okay. Over.
Just like with people with food. I mean, horses can have hay allergies. Interestingly enough.
I do wonder sometimes if I feed him too much. I've never had a horse like this. And
Well, these kind of people will eat and eat, and they gain weight very quickly.
yeah.
So that's because you feel bad because you try to, they put on weight so easily, and of course they love food. So
yeah, exactly. I feel bad. That's like the summary of it, because I'm used to Reese, who kind of needs food in front of him.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I tell you, they're a little expensive, but that thing that we got, did you see the automatic feeders that we got?
yeah,
They're so fantastic. I mean, a couple of $1,000, but once again, you fill it once a day, and the horses can eat round the clock. So we don't have any wasted hay anymore.
Yeah.
It's just really great. I mean, I think they're well worth the money. But that's always the problem with keeping horses up, is keeping them. Horses are intended to have feed going in them all the time. They do best when they eat lots of small amounts.
Yep, good boy. There you go.
We tried all of those other various slow feeders and things, and none of them really worked.
I have a hay pillow right now, and you're right. It's good and bad. Like, the hay pillow seems to slow him down a little. It's a netted thing in the one side, and then but the problem is
net that they can get their legs caught in. That's what I hated about those things.
Yeah.
Like I've seen many horses break their legs in hay nets that people thought were tied up high enough that horses couldn't get their feet in them. So it happened at horse shows many times. Nice. This is looking better though. Since we first started working too, you had the total, weather changes as well, which can.
Yeah.
Some of these kind of horses, they can be just like humans. Some are cold jointed, if you will. They come out. He was better as he goes. Gets warmed up a bit. Because he's got a big body, but you think about how a horse like this is put together. And actually he's quite nice for some of them. He's not too straight behind, but it's they're not just built to go like a thoroughbred or Arab or something is.
Yep.
But on the other hand, they're nice, sweet horses. So if you can get them athletic, they can do wonderful things, or they can turn into a couch potato. Very easily. It's looking better now. Let's go ahead and try the trot now and see what he does.
And trot.
Yeah, better. Less happier about the second trot. You can still see how he wants to kind of suck back a little bit.
Yeah.
Not just letting it flow, but just let it go a minute and see when it gets there.
Good boy.
There we go. There we go. Good. It's getting there now. I like it. Now let's try a couple of steps of canter in this direction. Now that we've gotten him to release a little bit, that's looking much, much better now.
Okay, ready? And canter. Canter. Come on, canter. Come on, canter.
And then back to the front.
And trot.
That was starting to look a little better. He started to release himself a little bit there. It's that same kind of thing. You can see how his canter goes. He's got the brakes on while he's cantering, you know?
Yeah.
And propping against his front legs instead of letting the canter roll over him. Roll over his back, that is. There we go. Really nice there. That's more like it. Keep that going. There we go. Belly's pulling up a little more now. Movement's getting a little freer, more like it. There we go. Now he's starting to look a little more like he's in the zone. You notice how his belly's come in a little bit? Take a look at that. Oh, you're starting to come up a little bit. It tells you all the pieces are starting to work a little better here. But I would, if I were you, test him for the ulcer thing. It's when you see him starting to act like that,
Okay.
It's only about $50 or something. It's pretty cheap test.
Okay. It's the one you guys have on the website, right? The one that Karen talks about, right?
Right. Yeah. Succeed. It's called. Yeah. And it's Q is her first day back under saddle today, and she's back to being herself again.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Really nice there. That's good. Much more like it now. Starting to look like something. That's more like it. Now, once again, that's starting to look like something you might want to ride, right?
Yeah.
It's beginning to settle into the frame. There's no point ever getting on a horse till they get to that phase, because they're not going to go better just because you get on them. If they can't go in rhythm without you on them, it's not going to happen when you're up there. That's really nice now. That's what we want to see. Now we're getting a horse. And once again, we can see how the belly is really pulled up now. Very pleasant. Now let's go back the other way one more time. I just want to see if you can get this consistent on the other side, because that was really nice now.
Sure.
So let him walk and change directions one more time.
Whoa, Calvin. Whoa. 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 Good boy.
Good boy, Calvin.
Yeah.
Because where's that voice coming from?
I know, he's just normally so agreeable. That's what I love about him, and that's why I was like, when I.
Well, by all means, that's why I would do the if you're not seeing anything else anywhere in terms of the saddle issue or girth problems or something, and I would run that test.
Okay.
Quickest way to eliminate a major cause of problems. So.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a lot of rhyme or reason of we think they get it for stress or whatever, but with Q, I think with her it started on because we shipped her here from the East Coast, and when she first got here, she pooped rocks. Solid like gravel, hands full of gravel for days.
Oh wow.
somewhere in stress, she had just eaten all this gravel. Happily, it all came out of her, I hope, but
Wow.
we always worry that there wasn't some kind of repercussion from it. So you never know. But we just didn't get it cleared the first time, so it came back.
I see. Oh boy.
There we go. Now let's try that trot transition again.
And trot. And trot. Come on, trot. Good boy.
A little bit of that in.
Come on. Come on.
There we go. Good enough. It just doesn't have that big swing that we had last time.
Yeah.
But, you know, we always have to remember that horses are just like us. You know, someday we get up feeling energetic and some days we don't. You know, some days we work hard and it takes us a few days to recover. Or something gets a little inconsistent, weather changes, all of these things, speed changes.
Yeah.
They all affect how they go. You know, and I usually, little things like that come up, I would usually just ignore. But if they don't go away, then we've got to look deeper.
Come on. Oh, Calvin.
Now, let's just do a little test here for a second. Stop for a minute.
Okay.
Is Ron still there with you?
Yep.
Let's pull the saddle off of him. Just take the saddle and side rein, take everything off, and let's see how he goes without anything on.
Okay. I will say I lunged him naked the other day, and he was the same.
It was the same. Okay,
Yeah.
well then never mind. Go on with what we're doing then.
Do you want me to?
No, we won't stop. If you've already done it and it didn't make a difference, then just go on. That's all right.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get him to place in this direction.
Okay. Come on. Trot. Good boy.
We'll try that again.
Trot. Good boy. Come on.
Well, that's more like it right there. That's better. Keep that going, see if we can. Now let him walk again.
And walk. And walk. Good boy.
Very nice. Now let's stop with that, and I'm going to have you get on, and we're going to see how he goes, and make it, you know, how much of that we do. It definitely has a little more brakes on today. So let me see how we react when we get on him.
Sure. Okay. Come on. Actually, I should be on this side of you, honey. Let's go. Walk. Come on. Walk. Come on. It's funny because, you know, if it's stress, he has such a different way of showing it. I think he's a very, he just holds it inside. I'm so used to Reese. When he's stressed, I know it. I mean, Reese is very clear about being stressed or not stressed. So it's just, like, he's just so, I don't know, like, if he is, it's just, you don't see it in him, you know? In his demeanor, like in the field or in his stall or anything like that.
Where does he live out at night now? Do they live out? Are they in stalls?
They're in a stall at night, and they're outside during the day. So it's about 12 and 12, actually. Although, you know, when he comes in at night, we work with them for a couple hours, so he's not in a stall that whole time.
Right.
But still, maybe not ideal.
Well, the more you can be out, great. You know, I mean, I wish we could. You know, we live in a place where there is no pasture, so. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
Um, you know, the problem with being out all the time is that it is a matter of the eating a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe I just have to figure that part out, you know?
Yep.
Because it's not
Well,
like,
once again, let them, you can't let them get overweight out there. And that's the trouble with this kind of horse. They gain weight very quickly, so very often you have to be careful about having them on pasture, especially, you want to put him on the leanest pasture you have probably and mow it down, so.
yeah, and actually, I guess what I was saying earlier, I mean, we really don't have a ton of good grass anymore, but he seems to, out of all of them, he'll go find some, you know?
Yeah.
The rest of them are like, that's not good enough for me. And he's over there like eating grass. And I'm like, what are you eating? Okay. I got this stirrup slipper is what they call it because it kind of
Yeah,
protects your saddle from all the.
those are great.
Yeah, I love it.
And they keep you don't have to tie the stirrups all up. They keep the stirrups up there where they belong.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, watching you there with the girth, he doesn't make any, it's not like he pins his ears back when you're tightening the girth or
No,
anything.
not at all, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
And once again, it could just nothing be a personality thing. And once again, maybe, once again, they don't always come out with the same energy they have every day, and they get tired too and need a little break,
Yeah.
changing up the routine.
Come on. Ready? Come on. The only other thing I was thinking is like, he was the same without the saddle, but Karen did mention I should check the saddle after, a little while because she said it will compress pretty quickly. And we haven't really done that. So
By all means.
I should probably do that.
Yeah.
Good boy. Okay.
Okay, buddy. Oh, not bad here. And just go large around the arenas. We can help with this stretch out for us. That's what I'd like to see. Nice. Go ahead and ride across the diagonal and change the rein. You buddy. And just continue large in the walk. Just trying to get that stretch a little deeper as you go. And at the top, turn by the center line and leg heel to the right. You'll want to see that stretch get a little bit deeper, the step get a little bit longer and swinging. Always remember to stretch yourself up and try to find that ball that you're sitting on top of. Your hips are neither stuck under you nor are they behind you. Just feel that neutral position of your spine, so to speak. And try to use the leg heel to get the stretch a little bit deeper. See if you can soften him and get him to take it down a little deeper like that as he begins to step a little deeper under himself.
There you go.
There. That's better, like that. Good. Go ahead and turn at this end and do the same thing again from this end, turning by the center line and leg yield to the right. That's better now. Starting to get a good leg yield now. Kind of at the end of it, he just kind of threw his shoulders out and walked in a straight line. Let's do that one more time down the center line, leg yielding to the right. Good. Good, like that. Good job. Much better. Let's see if he'll stretch a little deeper now. That's more like it. Go ahead and change across the next diagonal again.
Okay. Where? On which one? Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, Will. You said change rain, right? Oh, change that.
Yeah, change the rain. Yeah.
Ron was talking to me.
Soften it just a little more with your reins when you're in. They're starting to push up. You can take just a little bit there and see if you'll soften and take it down a little more. Go ahead and turn by the center line in this direction now and leg yield to the left. Same thing, trying to get the stretch a little bit deeper. Still just a little hesitant to get to where we'd like him to be today.
I don't know if you can see that, but almost every time I do that turn to the center line, he does this weird stumble thing with his back leg. Can you feel that? Or can you see that? Feel it?
And I couldn't really see what happened. I'll look at it again next time.
Okay.
Go ahead and turn by the center line here, and I'll actually see the back end, so I'll see what happens if he does this again. Go ahead and turn by the center line this time. Be sure you keep the shoulder just slightly in advance, because sometimes they start stepping the hindquarters too much. They can't get out of their own way, so to speak.
He didn't do it, so.
There you go. Yeah. Now a little tap. You didn't really step over there either. So lift up your chest and shoulders. There you go. There you go. Now you're starting to get it. Okay, let's do that one more time. So that time he kind of threw his shoulder out too much. So we need to control that outside line a little more.
Okay.
Try that on the center line. So we want the shoulder to just be slightly over, but we don't want to just throw the shoulder out to the side and kind of walk on a diagonal line with our head bent.
Yeah. No. Calvin.
Now go ahead and turn back to the wall. Turn right now and go back to the wall. I want you to start that again. Just turn right now and go to the wall on the other side. And I want you to go back and start that over again. And this time I want you to start the leg yield a little sooner. So as you're making the turn, already be starting to leg yield. So as soon as you start to make the turn, you're already beginning to ask the horse to step over. No. Anticipating a little bit there. Go ahead and go make your turn now. Now start to leg yield now. As soon as he starts to bend in the turn, start your leg yield right there. No, turn to the right and go back there again. We're going to start that again. Go back to the right. I'm going to go do that again.
I think if it's
now let your seat stay very relaxed in the saddle, and your legs really hanging beside him in a nice relaxed way. When other than when we touch, which of course is with the calf of the leg. We're going to try that again. And once again, start to leg yield now. So as you start to make that turn, you're already starting to leg yield there as you come around the turn. Right there, you're already in the leg yield. There, yes, we did it that time, just like that. Very nice. Much better, yes?
Yes.
That's what you got to do. He just was anticipating. So you needed to start it a little sooner so you could kind of glide your way into it a little bit. Now onto the circle here where you are. Big circle in the center at the end here. So now I want you to go into a trot rising on the circle and let's see what we get out of him. Does he want to move or does he hesitate on us here? Not bad. Let's see if he'll go right into the stretch for you. There you go. Keep going.
Oh my gosh. I have...
All right. Now just walk for a moment. Now just come back to a walk again.
And walk.
And walk. I'll be right back. I want to get Karen to look at something.
Okay.
Karen, are you downstairs? Come up and look at this for a second. I just want to see if you see the saddle. Well, you're going to take a look at that. He started acting really pissy about going forward. And I asked her to do the testing, but I was just looking at it to see whether it looks to me like it's up on his neck a bit too much. But see what you think.
Did she manage the work?
Yeah, and he was pissy a little bit then too, but it got going. Now go ahead and try your trot again. I wanted Karen to see as well, see if she sees anything. Stretch.
That's fine.
Keep going for a minute. The been a little funny as far as the film goes here for a minute.
It doesn't look like the saddle's too high in front, which would have happened if it was going over his shoulder. You can always have her get off and move the saddle back, but she's at that.
Go ahead and walk there for a minute. Let me chat with Karen. Does it look like there's any kind of problem that you see going on there?
No, but she can always get off and move it back if she thinks it's going forward, but it would have been high in front if she was, and if anything, it looks a little bit.
Does it look like it slid forward? Is that what you guys are saying?
That was I was trying to debate on whether it looked like it had come forward on his neck a little bit.
Yeah, and
you could try getting off and moving it back, Darcy, but what typically happens, especially if he's been going really well, is the saddle drops down in front. Now, if it drops down in front, it can't allow it to go forward.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys want to stop during this lesson. And
well, we need to solve this problem. So if it's something we can solve here.
Can you jump off there, Darcy, and take the saddle off?
Yeah,
or
sure.
just get the pad out from underneath it so I can see.
Sure.
Ronnie, you still there? You can give her a hand there. Let me take a minute.
So you want to see it on him, but without the saddle pad is what you said, right?
Yeah, and actually no girth for the moment.
Oh, okay.
Once again, it's a process of elimination.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw he was going really, really well until this last two times, but this time's even worse. So,
yeah.
And I worked him like 4 times this week, but I only rode him twice.
Yeah.
tracking is on the saddle.
We're seeing okay.
Are you? Okay.
Okay, now put the saddle up ahead like that and then just slide it back where it wants to lock in. Now grab hold of the pommel and just kind of, yeah, see, that's what I'm afraid of. Okay, now, can you turn the horse a little more to the side so I can see it from the side?
Sure, and I just wanted to get the billets off of him, or from the saddle. It was under the saddle.
Yeah.
Can you see?
There we go. Yeah, right there.
So that looks farther, well, maybe not. It's hard to say because he doesn't stand square very well.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, well, now that I can see it from the side, let's start all over again. Put it up way over his shoulders. Now just slide it back till it locks in. Just kind of push it and shake it until it kind of just locks into a spot. Okay, good. Now take both hands and push on the top of the pommel. Just push downward. Does the back pop up at all? No, not very much.
It does. I would say just a little bit. Can you see that or no?
Yeah, but I saw your pad has the built-in thin line, so that probably makes up that difference.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when you were riding, does that seem to be where the saddle was? Where it is right now?
No.
I know it was hard.
It was forward. It was forward from this, for sure.
Okay. So the most likely cause was a loose girth if it ran forward.
Okay.
Did you lunge the horse first? Okay.
Yeah,
Did you move?
I do leave the girth a little loose, so I probably should have checked that before I got back on.
Yeah, because lunging them with the saddle on, it will often just work its way forward because there's nobody in it, and the girth is usually. So put your pad back on.
Okay. At least he stands.
Yeah. And slide it back. Okay. And then put the saddle right where it was before. You can hold on to the pad and then just kind of move the saddle back to see if it will go back easily, kind of sit in that niche. There we go. Okay. Okay.
Okay, well, I'll try this. Let's see what happens.
Try it and see if he acts any better, but make sure your girth is snug. It doesn't have to be super tight before you get on, but as soon as you get on, then tighten it up the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Because a loose girth is one of the main causes of saddle sliding forward.
Okay.
I think let's do this too. I hear something. He's so cute.
Isn't he?
He is.
He really is. And I think he knows it.
But do keep that in mind, Darcy, that's usually the first thing that happens is the saddle starts to get too low in front.
Okay.
Because the horse actually is improving, and so he pushes up between the forelegs in his brisket.
Yeah.
And the shoulder angle gets steeper, actually.
Yep.
So the saddle then drops down in front.
Okay. Yeah, and I was telling Will how we hadn't really checked that despite your advice. So we probably should look at that.
Yeah, now if he hasn't improved when you get on and ride in this, then the one other thing you can try is putting the shims in the front and see if that is the problem, that it's a little too low in front.
Okay. He swishes his tail like that, but he's not looking at the girth or anything like that, because we also talked about possible ulcers.
Well, it's one of the other steps you take,
Yeah.
If you can't figure out what's going on.
Okay. You gotta go still. He's like, I know the routine. Come on.
Wow, your ring is so nice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Is it cold there?
Not too bad, actually. It got really cold this week, and we had a snowstorm. We lost electricity. I hadn't really thought about wells and pumps being run off electricity, so we were kind of panicking because of the horses.
Oh, no, yeah.
But it came back on. Right as Ron arrived with water, it came back on.
Oh.
Figures, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but no, now it's like 60 degrees today, so it's actually quite warm.
Nice.
I heard it's going to be 60 there tomorrow, right? Is that what Will said? Or a
We're
low?
open. No, well, what I saw was 75, but.
Not till Sunday.
Uh-oh, the camera was going crazy, huh?
It was going.
So I think that's probably good. Should I just go? Is Will there? Does he want me to?
Yeah, he can take over here.
See if there's any difference.
Now, Darcy.
Yep.
Check your girth. Make sure it's snug.
Tighten your girth now.
Yeah, it actually feels good.
Okay.
Okay. No.
Does your balance in the saddle feel any different than it did before?
It does, actually. You know, I'm starting to think it might be partially my fault, too. I think I tacked up really quickly. I probably wasn't even looking that closely.
Certainly walking happier now.
Is he walking better? Yeah.
Yeah, just kind
you know,
of
and you're right. I kind of felt like I was on his neck a little bit. It was weird.
Yeah.
Way better walk now.
That's the stumble I was talking about that I kept feeling before. But I think you've seen that before. He just does that.
Yeah, that's no big deal. Kind of doesn't disengages for a minute. But let's go ahead and try the trot now and see how that feels and see if it's any different. See if he's any happy.
And trot. Oh, Calvin. Okay, this is back to what it used to be, remember?
Yeah. All right.
Come on. And I don't know if you can hear him, but he's really gassy right now, too, again.
Oh.
Yeah, let's stop there.
Okay.
I think it's something else. Let's stop. I want you to just take the saddle off and just lunge him again. I just want to see him go without the saddle at all. And just so he does something and gets back into the stretch.
Okay.
Marcy, I'm not feeling like it's the saddle. It looks pretty balanced now that you have it in the right place.
Yeah.
But if this doesn't fix itself, then you can always send me pictures, so I can check the saddle fit like you've done before.
Sure. And I think, though, Will is probably right. It probably isn't the saddle. It's probably something else, but I don't know.
It's hard with the horses, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Can be new things.
I'm just going to put the saddle on some poles over here, and then I'll get back to lunging. When I lunge, do you want me to put it over his head because we won't have side reins then?
Yeah, that's probably good. Oh. Poor Mickles. Okay. I'll be right back. I set my glasses down and forgot to put them back on. Right back.
Okay. Oh, shoot. How am I going to do this? I got to put the thing on your bridle. Hey, hey. Let's put it on your bridle.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, and I'm going to try putting this on his bridle. Ron's not here, so
Okay.
he had to leave for some reason. But if this doesn't work, I don't know what to try. I guess I could put it on me.
Just leave it on you.
Okay.
I'll still be able to just put it on your arm. That's fine.
Okay, and I'll just move farther back, and then you should be able to see, I think.
So the point is, just what we're doing here is like you've heard me talk about many times. You know, when you run into a wall, you got to start backing up. You know, and till we figure out what it is. And to say it may just be nothing more than being a little overtired. The weather changed. Who knows? Diet changes.
Did you say over his head or no? I thought
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So for Q, if she had ulcers, like, I mean, you treated, but then do you do anything to change her environment, or did you just leave her environment the
No,
same?
because I mean, you know, she eats around the clock. I mean, she's totally relaxed all the time. There's no stress in her life. But
Yeah.
you know, as I said, it went back to the original shipping, and you know, once again, we thought we had gotten rid of it, but then we realized, I said with these tests, that there can't even be the faintest line. If there's even the faintest line on the test, they still have it, and that's where we kind of thought there was, you know, the last time she had them, and once again we checked again, but the line was so faint, we thought, well, it must be gone, you know. But no, the vet reassured us that no, there must be no line at all.
I see. Okay. Okay. I went farther back because I think once he goes out, it's going to be hard to see him, but.
Yeah, no, this is perfect. Right here is good.
Go on. Go on. Yep.
But you know, you can just see that he doesn't have, even without the saddle on, you know, there was no, he's not as happy as he was, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you can go back right to the clinic video, where that was really the last day that he was super happy on video. Yeah. I had a few days after that he was great. Come on. Come on. Walk. Good boy.
Yeah. And now let's go ahead and ask him to trot again.
Trot. Hey.
Latch out. Give him a little tap there. Get him moving away from you.
Trot.
Yeah. Go ahead and walk again.
And walk.
Go ahead and take the line over his head and just hook it on the inside ring. Let me see if that helps.
Whoa. Good boy. It's all twisted too. I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but I switched his bridle. I don't think anything like that would be the problem. It's a crank noseband, but I have it like super loose.
he looked quite a bit bloated today compared to. I remember saying in the last lesson how much trimmer he was looking, and that.
Okay.
Because once again, when you took the saddle off, it didn't make much difference. So I don't really think the saddle is the problem.
Come on, walk, walk. Come on, come on, walk. Yep.
There we go.
Over. Over. Good boy.
There we go. Get what we can get.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually glad that I have you to walk me through this because, you know, you second guess yourself. This is the hardest part, I think, when you're trying to do it on your own.
The real training of horses always goes. You know, it's never like perfect every day, you know. We always have to be reading them. Go ahead and let him trot now. Let me see if I get to a better place.
Trot.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Now let him walk.
And walk. And walk. Good boy.
Get that stretch out all the way in the walk again.
Good
There
boy.
we go. Like that. Yeah, right there. Good. Right there.
Good boy. Yeah, there you go.
There. Very nice. And you can stop right there. Just ask him to halt.
Okay.
And then come down and we'll talk.
Whoa, Calvin. And whoa. He's like, I feel good now, finally.
Finally starting to move. All right.
Okay.
Good boy, Captain. All right. So notice that all we did was back up in what we do till we found some place where it was working for him, right? Which was at the end. I think we'd run out of horse anyway. I don't think we had a lot of horse to start with. So that's what we have to do. Once again, you always have to remember that the horse is going to remember the last thing you did in the ring. So once again, your alternative to that, what so many people would do is, oh, he's just being nasty. Just start beating him up and whip him up and, you know, and trying to make them go. But as I said, a healthy horse wants to go. You've experienced him on days when he wanted to go. You know, and we saw the flow, and all of a sudden the flow is getting stopped.
Yeah.
So we have to back up to where it works. So what I want you to do now for the next few days, maybe till 3 or 4 days here, is just lunging, just do just the work in hand and lunging, but with no saddle on at all. Just what you just did here. Let's just take everything away for a minute. Let's just come back and try to be as consistent with that every day if you can. And let's just back up to that. And then, well, actually, if you, let's just do it that way. Let's not do any under saddle work until I see him again. Okay. So I want you to spend next week just lunging with nothing on, just getting him to stretch out like that as you're doing, and just see if the attitude begins to come back. I would, you know, it's worth the $50 to do those tests.
Sure.
That, you know, worth just seeing. You know, he was going so freely. But as I said, it may be nothing more than, you know, he's just more tired, or the weather changed, or he's bloated from what he changed in his diet. All those things can do all this. But what you don't want to do is beating him up about it, because that's never going to solve anything. You know, we want the horse to work with us willingly. And when we don't, we have to just find out why, you know, why they're not. We find out and back up in what we do till we find out something that we can leave on a good note. We can leave and say, oh, you did a good job at the end. That's all that's important, is that they come back with a good attitude. Whereas if you just start beating them up and making them go, sure, you could do that. I mean, you know, that's a lot of people sort of, they think people that are good riders because they can get on and ride tough. That doesn't make you a good rider, and it just means it just means that you're good at staying on. It doesn't mean that you're good at riding, if you will, which is a totally different thing. And that we want to get to at the end of the day. So, questions today?
No, I think that's good. It was really good validation to just kind of go through it and you see it and decide what to do. I only rode a couple days early after our last lesson, so it was like Friday, Saturday, and then I hadn't really ridden, but I worked him a couple days, and today was by far the worst. Yesterday he seemed apprehensive, didn't really want to do it, same kind of attitude, but then, but just all I did was work in hand and lunge. But he eventually kind of worked out of it, and maybe a little quicker than today, that's for sure. But he's clearly communicating something, like, this is, you saw him go nicely, and like, it's just night and day, right?
Once you see that, they can go like that once we get, but as I said, just like you and I, he may have just, some days they just don't feel like doing it. They're sore, there's, whatever the case may be, just like you and I, we get out of bed feeling different every day, and what do we feel like doing our day, or don't we? We drink our coffee and make ourselves go ahead, but that's the same thing. So it's all good. So let's have a week of just lunging him with nothing on and working, and then let's come back next week and see where we put everything back on. Let's see what we get.
Okay.
So we'll do all that together when I see you next Thursday again. Sound good?
Sounds great. Thanks, Will. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. Great work today. And once again, these are kind of, for all of you watching, these are the kind of things we all go through. Every trainer goes through these kind of things every day. It's, horses are not things that we park in a garage and turn the motor back on, and it's going to be the same every time. Things go on all the time. And that's what makes it interesting to me. If it wasn't like that, it would be rather boring. I always found working on cars and things rather boring. It's just there's no real feedback. It either works or it doesn't. Whereas a horse, you've got all this mental thing and what they have from the past and the future, how they feel. All those things make a difference that we have to be able to be sensitive to them and read them to be able to do. So good thing to go through. Excellent. But it's also tough because you had so many days it was going so well, and all of a sudden, once again, you have to stop again. So
exactly.
But that's the way it is.
Exactly.
Great to see you guys. I look forward to seeing you again next week.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, Will.
You're welcome.
Bye. Come on. I think I have to do this here. Come here. Okay. Now we go this way.